Hi there, I'm Jack Van Ryn, Mayor of the Town of Coaldale. I will be giving you a council brief from our regular council meeting that was held last night, April 7th, 2025. And the first item that came up on the agenda under business arising from the minutes, agenda item 6.1, was regarding the rescue engine purchase approval. And we had our Director of Protective Services and Fire Chief Clayton Rutberg present. And the purpose of Clayton's staff report was to obtain final approval from council for the purchase of a rescue engine for delivery in 2027 in accordance with the current fleet plan and budget deliberations with Lethbridge County. During the previous 2 years of budget deliberations, the rescue engine has been discussed. This item was tentatively approved subject to further research by the Emergency Services Committee, approval by council, and financial participation from Lethbridge County. The Emergency Services Committee that myself and councillors Jason Bateman and Councillor Jason Avery sit on, we've had numerous meetings over the past 2 years to discuss purchasing a rescue engine. And in addition, recent discussions with Lethbridge County have identified this apparatus as a 50-50 shared expense. Administration has determined that the 3 RFP submissions received and is ready to award the contract to Fort Garry, who was the highest scoring applicant as well as the lowest bidder for delivery of the rescue truck in 2027. So the price tag of this unit is $1,420,112. And with it being called a rescue engine, what we're doing is that we actually have 2 units that need to be replaced over the next few years, and that is 1 fire engine and our current rescue truck. So instead of ordering 2 separate units that would have far surpassed a $2 million price tag, we are combining both units into one, and that'll save both Lethbridge County and the town of Coaldale a considerable amount of money. And after the presentation, council voted in favor of giving direction to administration to continue with the purchase of the fire engine. Under bylaws and policies, we had our CFO, our Chief Financial Officer, and our Deputy CAO, Kyle Beauchamp, present a staff report regarding borrowing bylaw 914-B-04-25 regarding the Economic Development Rail Spur. And the spur is a spur line now we put in off the main CPKC line that runs through Coaldale, that takes a spur line north to the new coal facility, and it will also be used for future development where other commercial enterprises or industrial enterprises need access to rail. So Kyle presented the bylaw, and the town of Coaldale has borrowed funds from ATB Financial for the project. As part of this internal borrowing controls, they require that the borrowing bylaw be renewed by council on a yearly basis. And currently the town has borrowed $2,250,000 under this credit facility to fund the capital of this project. The borrowing facility will be repaid within 5 years through other funding streams as they become available. So after Kyle's presentation, council passed all 3 readings for the borrowing bylaw. The next item that came up was borrowing bylaw 918-B-04-25 regarding the municipal credit card. And Kyle presented again, excuse me, regarding the bylaw for the purpose of authorizing borrowing through the town credit cards through ATB. So we have seniors, members of staff that have a credit card to do various purchases that are required for the town. And while the town currently has the municipal credit cards that are used daily, no record of a previous borrowing bylaw can be found, as it likely was not required by previous financial institutions. As a result, no bylaw is being rescinded as part of this approval. So what's going on, the reason that we have to do this is that since the Bank of Montreal closed, or BMO closed their facility in Coaldale, we are moving all our banking needs to ATB here in Coaldale, and this will streamline our operations through the financial department, and this is one of the requirements by ATB that we have this bylaw in place. So again, after the presentation by Kyle, Council passed all 3 readings. Then, once again, our CFO, Kyle Beauchamp, presented on a supplementary assessment tax bylaw 915-C-04-25. And a supplementary assessment is in accordance with Section 313 of the Municipal Government Act. A supplementary assessment notice shows the assessed value of any improvements that have been completed or occupied during the current calendar year and not included in the annual tax notice. So an easy way to put that is a supplementary assessment tax bylaw in Alberta allows municipalities to assess and tax new property improvements, such as buildings that are completed, occupied, or moved into during the tax year for the portion of the year that they are in use. So passed under authority of the Municipal Government Act, this bylaw ensures fairness by requiring new developments to contribute their share to municipal revenues. And once passed of the tax year, which we did at last night's meeting, it enables the assessor to prepare a supplementary assessment roll, and property owners receive a tax bill based on the improvement's value and at the time it was in use. So once again, that was passed by council with all 3 readings. And the next item that came up, again, we had our CFO, Kyle Beauchamp, presenting, and this was regarding the special tax recreation bylaw 916-C-04-25. And the same bylaw was passed by council for the 2024 tax year. However, this bylaw needs to be passed by council each year. And this goes back to the construction of the new rec center. The design and construction of the facility within Coaldale has a total cost of $19,661,000, of which $10 million is funded through the debenture debt, the payments of which are covered by the revenue gathered by the $10 monthly tax levy. This special tax levy would apply to each developed residential parcel of land within the municipal boundaries of the town of Coaldale at a rate of $120 per developed residential parcel of land within the municipality boundaries of Coaldale. And based on this $10 a month or $120 per household, the total expected revenue from this tax is $395,400. And again, this will go towards servicing that debt. So council, once again, passed all 3 readings on that. Again, thank you, Kyle, for presenting. The next item that came up on the agenda was the recreation booking and allocation policy CS-003. And we had our Director of Recreation and Community Services, Russ Tanner, present on that. And the purpose of the staff report was to present a draft recreation booking and allocation policy to members of council. This policy was initially included in the new Recreation Center operational plan, but was never separately approved as an official policy. Since then, the attached draft that Russ had at the meeting last night has been expanded to include other town facilities, most recently the Civic Square Plaza. And following recent discussions with council, Legislative Services has recommended that this policy be brought before council to allow for feedback on the draft before it was formally approved. So Russ went through the policy in depth, which I'm not going to do as part of this recap. With this and with everything else that I'm chatting about regarding our meeting last night will be part of the agenda package that I'll have in the comment section. And through our iCompass platform, every staff report, there will be a blue highlighted link. You just click on that and that'll take you to the actual staff report, plus all the supporting documentation that will explain it in further detail. So council, after the presentation, approved the draft policy, and that was policy CS-003, recreation and booking and allocation. The next item, under new business, agenda item 8.1, and I've touched on this as well. And again, that was our Chief Financial Officer and Deputy CAO, Kyle Beauchamp, presenting. And we made it official. There was a request that council approve the ATB Financial as the authorized financial institution for the town of Coaldale. And just to back up a little bit, the town went through a request for banking proposals in 2024, to which ATB Financial was selected by administration as the successful proponent. This RFP, which stands for Request for Proposal, possesses what's due to the town's current bank, BMO, closing their Coaldale branch. And administration is currently working through the banking transition process with ATB. And I asked our CFO, how much work it is to switch banks. And he shared that it's an incredible amount of work. So council, at the end of that discussion, approved ATB Financial as our new authorized financial institution. Then, once again, we had our CFO, Kyle Beauchamp, present on the 2025 Volunteer Firefighter Property Tax Credit. And this staff report was to request that council formally approve the cancellation tax related to the Volunteer Firefighter Tax Credit for those who meet the associated requirements. So back in January of 2020, council passed a motion 13.20 was approved for the creation of a volunteer firefighter tax credit. This includes volunteer firefighters who own and occupy a principal residence in Coaldale, and 2 businesses who own property in Coaldale and provide paid release time to the volunteer firefighters that they employ. This tax credit calculated is based on the volunteer hours their residents and businesses have accumulated for 2024 and is recognized on their 2025 tax notice. The amount payable for the tax credit is a sliding scale based on the number of volunteer hours. The maximum credit for any individual is $1,000 and $2,000 for a business. So based on the volunteers and the businesses, council made the following motion: that council approve the cancellation of taxes for residents and businesses that have qualified for volunteer firefighter tax credit, and that was passed unanimously. And then we had Kyle again, our Chief Financial Officer and Deputy CAO, present on the Q4 financial update up to December 31st, 2024. And I'm not going to go into the financial statements because it's so in-depth, and at the end of it, you'll see that Coaldale is in a extremely strong financial position, and Kyle, with his great team, have put together an excellent staff report. So I would recommend that you go through the agenda package again in the comment section, and you'll see what the financial statements are all about. What I will do is give you the little bit of information about the surplus that the town had for 2024, and overall we had a remaining surplus of $645,833 that had not already been directed to other streams or future projects. This surplus is largely related to the town's utility fund, and a small portion of that amount relates to operational activities such as utility fees and utility expenses. However, the majority of it relates to the debenture debt for the water reservoir and sanitary trunk line that was budgeted for in 2024, and it was not taken out. It will be in 2025. Had the town not budgeted for this in 2024, it would have resulted in these funds being allocated to the utility reserve regardless. So because of this, administration recommended that these funds be allocated to the water reservoir capital reserve in the amount of $279,603, and then $94,229 to the sanitary trunk line capital reserve, and $272,000 for the payment of the existing debenture debt. So with all that being said, Council approved the allocated surplus distribution as I just presented in the amount of $645,833 as recommended by staff. And that was it for departmental reports. And then we had a verbal committee report by Councillor Dale Pickering regarding the Gem of the West Museum Society. He is our council representative on that board, and I really appreciate when our members of council keep the rest of council up to date by giving these monthly reports. Then we had several information items. One was from the provincial government regarding our police funding. So up until today, we are still not getting the split, the 70-30 split from the federal government, where the town of Coaldale pays 70% of the policing costs for the RCMP, and the federal government pays 30%. And because that is not backstopped by the federal government, the provincial government has stepped up to the plate for the town of Coaldale and has sent us a check for $550,000 to help us pay with policing costs. So thank you very much for that. Then we had minutes from the Coaldale Library Board. We had a education property tax update from the provincial government. And then we had a letter from the Mayor of Brampton regarding Stand Up for Canada, and pause meeting minutes, and minutes from the Coaldale and District Chamber of Commerce. Other than that, that was it for the open portion of the meeting. And again, I'll have all this information as part of the agenda package in the comment section. If you have any questions, comments, please feel free to reach out to me. I'll have my email address and my cell number at the end of this video. Give me a call anytime. If you see me on the street, feel free to stop me and have a discussion, go for coffee. I'm always open for any questions that anybody may have, and the same goes for the rest of the council. So other than that, I hope to see you on the street, and other than that, have yourself a great rest of your week. Take care. Bye-bye.